G'day guys, welcome to Rumble's Fishroom. So today we're going to do a walkthrough, but this isn't going to be your typical walkthrough looking at fish. Today I'm going to walk through all the hardware in my fish room. No doubt I'll probably miss a thing or two, but I'll do my best. To repeat, today I will not be talking about any of the fish. We're going to go through hardware. I might look at a couple of filters, air pumps, lighting, tanks, I guess. We'll look at the tanks. So I think we need to start with the bare bones of the room. What is this room built out of? Alright, so first of all, the walls. I can't show you inside the walls because it's all covered. There's nowhere where the beams are exposed. So I'll show you right here. See this piece of wood here? This is, where am I going to put this tape? So this here, it's a 90 by 45 piece of treated pine. So that's what my walls are made out of. Obviously we've got a tin shed. The frames are like mounted between the posts. You can see the posts here. So there's 90 by 45 frames mounted. Now the studs are at 450 centers. So what that means is center to center of the studs in the wall are 450 millimeters apart from the center of the beam to the center of the beam. So what this does for me, this means, here's a rack that's not finished yet. This means that my timber racks actually run into the wall. Oh, I just hit my head. So they run into the wall, and there's blocks below this frame, kind of like here. See how there's a block attached to the 90 mil? So there's these 200 mil blocks everywhere bolted into the walls, and all my racks have no rear legs. So what that means is, I can show you right here, my tanks are hard up against the wall. So I'm saving a good 100 mil or 4 inches of space by having that. And in saving that space, that's meant these tanks are actually 2.5 foot deep and they don't take up so much area. Alright, so that's the walls. So then we'll talk about the frames. The frames are the same as the walls. Everything in here is 90 by 45 treated pine. So this pine is treated, I think it's like C4 or something. I've got treated pine that's rated for outdoor use, and then obviously I've painted it. All my racks I run 10 mil styrofoam. I don't run anything under the tanks. That's the bottom of the tank. That's a bad example because that's ply. So if you look here, that is glass. That is the bottom of the tank. There is styrofoam here. There is no need for ply under the tanks. Alright, so now we've got our frames for our tanks to sit on. Let's talk about the tanks. So here we've got our traditional 6mm glass, 1.5 foot tall, 2 foot wide glass tanks. These are divided. The water circulates between it through an airlift here. If you want to know how they work, there's a previous video on my channel of how the airlift works, explained really well. We've got one tank that's 2 foot deep. That's 10 mil glass. It's the odd tank in the room, but it was given to me for free. It had some cracks in the bottom, and I actually just patched the cracks. Now, you may wonder why I didn't replace the bottom and I just patched them. Basically, one, I'm a cheap ass, and two, once it cracked, and see how the patches are quite skinny? So now the bottom can flex and it doesn't crack more. So for all I know, that bottom's actually not sitting straight, but the cracks actually make it not crack, if that makes sense. So here we've got our 7 by 2 foot, which is actually supported by the ceiling. This has been a bit of a feature of my channel. So if you look through here, these two racks aren't actually attached to each other. That runs into the wall there. So the nearest leg to this corner of the tank is actually this one here. So that's floating. It used to look really cool when this rack wasn't here. It looked like really special, but that rack kind of ruined the whole appeal behind it. To be honest, I'm thinking about putting a block through here and joining them. There's no need to have it suspended from the ceiling anymore. But yeah, I love the concept. It spins people out. Alright, so we've got glass, just your standard 8 and 6 mil tanks. And then we come here. These are ply tanks. Now I get heaps of questions about these. So 25 mil ply front frame. The rest of it is 18 millimeter ply. The bottom is just fiberglass resin, no fiberglass. And the inside is fiberglass with gel coat. It's actually swimming pool top coat in there. If you notice the color and you think to your local fiberglass swimming pool, that's actually a pretty standard color. I went with something standard, so if I want to get more, it's easy to get, you know what I mean? The fronts are 8 mil glass. So then, once you've got the tanks, I don't think I've missed anything with the tanks. Oh, every tank's drilled with an up pipe and a drain. So then once you've got your tanks, you need a bit of filtration. So most of my tanks run this pipe here with an airlift there. Oh, this one's a bad example. That one's got a top piece on it. Where's a good one to look at? Oh, this one's got nothing on the top. So 3 sponge filters suck the water through, and then we've got ceramic media inside that 50 mil pipe. So that whole pipe there is a filter, and then we've got an airlift there. Once again, if you want the airlifts explained more, go back on some previous videos. So they've all got the pipes. Then we've got a couple of tanks just with some standard sponge filters. I don't mind the old sponge filter. And then, this is a bit of a special one. I love these things. Obviously you wouldn't put it in your display tank, but it's great for a breeding room. So that's just a click-clack tub. Filled it with media. It's got holes drilled in the side, and it's got 3 airlift pipes in it. Now that filter there is roughly equivalent to a 1500 litre per hour canister filter, except that thing is using about 3 watts of electricity versus 30 to 40 watts of electricity. So that's my secret to keeping my power bill down. Alright, so now we've talked about filtration. I guess next up is lighting. So you're not really going to be able to see this in the camera. It's going to be too bright. Yeah. So this is LED strip. Hang on, I've actually got a piece I can show you. So if you look at this, this is LED strip, and it's actually in a casing. It's not like the cheap eBay stuff that's pressed into silicon. This is the company is called Boss Illumination Australia. It's about $80 per 5 meters, and it's awesome. All these. So if you look here, that light there is. So that light there is 12 months older than that light, and there's no brightness difference. That's a key thing with LEDs, is the cheap ones, they go dull over time. So that is one of the main things I love about these lights, is they don't go dull. Alright, so a little thing that I brushed over and didn't tell you guys. The walls are like Hardy Flex outdoor sheeting, but the ceiling is wet area gyprock. If I was going to do it again, I wouldn't do the wet area gyprock, I would do it all in the Hardy Flex. I get the names confused. It's the cement sheeting anyway. So I tried to flush it with gyprock flusher. It's all cracked. I think it's because it's not gyprock, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's just that that's way more waterproof than that. I have had that peeled back in a couple of spots when I've cleaned the mold off the roof. And if you're building a fish room, you're always going to have a little bit of mold. If you think you're not going to, the tighter you seal the room, the more chance of mold. And this room is like dead airtight. Alright, so I'm not going to talk too much about this pond because it's no good at the moment. It's leaking. This is a stainless steel trough. If I could build this room again, this trough would not be in here. But it's way too hard to take it out and replace it with a ply one. But if I could build this room again, that would be ply, not stainless steel. Alright, so let's talk about heating. So heating, I've got a 2.4 kilowatt reverse cycle air conditioner. Now, you might think, 2.4 kilowatt, that's way too small for this room. Yes, you are right. That is only rated for a room about half the size of this one. But with how much water volume there is, it acts as a medium, and this thing hardly works at all. And the other thing is insulation. The insulation makes a huge difference for this guy. So, while we're talking about insulation, let's talk about what insulation we have in this place. So, these walls over here have 3 layers of R1.5 insulation. So, that's about 30 mil thick, and it's pink with a silver backing on it. Once again, I can't show you guys because it's in the wall. In the ceiling, there's actually 3 layers of 100 mil fiberglass insulation bats, like the old school. Do you remember the Pink Panther on the TV? Yeah, that's what's in that ceiling. I actually got it from a house that had water damage and the ceiling fell down. So I got it for a carton of beer, and it was a whole house worth. So it's pretty much 3 layers in this roof. Hang on, I've lost the lights. And it was one of the worst days of my life. Like, it was so bad. I had the full suit and everything on, but it was so itchy, and it was for days. I had like splinters in my hands and stuff, even though I was wearing full gloves and stuff. There's a fan just to create a bit of circulation. I thought I was really smart putting a normal fan oscillating, but turns out they've only got plastic gears inside them, and it snaps the gears so it doesn't turn at the moment. I want to get a proper ceiling fan, like an oscillating one, but they're actually quite expensive compared to a pedestal fan. So the lights are on a sensor, as you guys just saw. When those lights are off, we'll see if we can show you guys. Everybody just freeze for a minute. So when those lights are off, we've got a skylight here. So this is an LED skylight. In the camera, it actually looks like the room's black, but there's enough light for the fish to see. I want to put another light over this side of the room. You can't see where I am. For when I put the last few tanks on that side, this one light isn't quite enough, but everything breeds in here. They seem to like the low light, sets the mood, I guess. So you're probably thinking, why the hell is there a foam tub with blue water on the ground? Alright, so normally I use that tub for what's in here, but my flower horns have decided to breed that close together that at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning before work, I was trying to think of what I could put the eggs in, and this was the best thing I could think of, a styrofoam box. Now this is going to stain the box blue, but that's alright. If we get some fry out of it, I don't care about the box. Those fish are actually going to go out to the IBCs, which you saw in yesterday's video. We're getting towards the end of the hardware, I think, unless I come up with some more stuff. So up here we've got two 40mm pipes which run around the room, and we've also got a 75mm pipe running around the room. The 75mm pipe is the drain that's where the wastewater goes. Pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I need to go into further detail with that one. This hose up here is my air, and we've got a gauge there which shows the air pressure. Now, it's not even 1 psi. That's because I'm running a blower and not diaphragm pumps, and it doesn't have the pressure, which doesn't matter for my air filtration. It's actually really good. I don't need to put taps on anything because there's not heaps of pressure. It seems to be quite a good balance of air, and yeah, I'm extremely happy with the blower. That's water in. So it's actually a closed loop. It goes the whole way around the room. That's just to equalize pressure on the far side, so everybody gets the same amount of water. Every tank's got 4mm lines which come in, and I don't put taps on the lines. So what we have is, these tanks here are 200 litres. They've got 1 line. This tank here is 400 litres. That's got 2 lines. This tank here is 1,000 litres. That's got 4 lines. And so on and so forth. So instead of trying to control the taps, I just worked off my smallest tanks. And those are the smallest tanks in the room. They are 2.5 foot by 2 foot by 1.5 foot. Now, I really want to replace those with a 5 foot, but I don't have one, and I don't really have time to make one at the moment. Alright, so you guys might be wondering, oh, that's a bit loud, why is the fish room so quiet when I'm running a blower? Alright, so I'll show you guys. Sorry about this, guys, there's not much light in here, but hopefully there's enough that I can explain. So we've got an in and an out pipe from the fish room. We're actually bringing the air in from the fish room. The reason for this is to hold temperature. I didn't want to be bringing in cold air or hot air, depending on the weather, into the fish room. So we're bringing fish room air in. The air comes into this box. Now this box has seen better days. I do need to replace it with something waterproof, because there is a flaw which I didn't think of. When the water comes in that pipe is quite cold. In winter, we're coming out of a warm room into a cold pipe, which creates condensation. The condensation lands in this box, and it's ruined the box. So I plan on replacing this with like a plastic tub from Red Dot, and doing the same thing that I've done inside that. So this tub actually has baffles in it, and you can pretty much see, hang on. Yeah, there you go, that's a bit better light. So you see where the watermarks are? That's actually the baffles. So the baffles are made out of material. It's actually this stuff here. It's like a fabric pinup board, and it's made to stop sound deadening, that's the word I'm looking for. So because that's material, they're getting wet and they're soaking through the wood. But anyway, so that's what makes it quiet. So if I take this off here, you can hear how loud that is. So originally, I never had this muffler, this box here. This pipe here went straight into the air pump. And I thought I was real smart putting the air pump outside and you won't get the sound. I didn't think of the fact that that pipe was leading, that sound was leading straight down a 40mm PVC pipe. Now a plastic pipe echoes, and I actually made it louder by putting it outside. I moved it from inside to outside, got real excited, turned it on, walked in the fish room. You guys should have heard how loud it was. It was next level. I was hugely disappointed, and one thing you guys know about this channel is we figure out a way to fix things. I'm very transparent on when shit goes wrong, and this went wrong. It went horribly wrong. That's kind of why I see this bottom pipe isn't sitting flat, it's all skew-if. It's because I tried to like bend it down from there. But it worked out alright. This box is actually over 12 months old, so it's lasted a while. it pretty much had water damage within the first month, so the fact that it hasn't fully blown out yet, I'm extremely surprised. It's so uneven and rough. Anyway, I feel like we've been talking about the air pump for way too long. So this thing, just quickly, it's a... Oh, you can't see it on there because it's not in English. It's a Resun GF180C. Now, make sure if you... Oh, there it is, 180C. And you can't... Yeah, there we go. Make sure it's got the C on the end. The 180 uses the same amount of electricity, but it's less liters. I don't know how it works, but the C is like double the air output. And we're getting 540 liters per minute for 180 watts of electricity. This is the single cheapest to run air pump I could find. There's no pump that is more efficient than this one. If you jump up to 600 liters per minute, the wattage doubles. So if I needed more air than this, I would run 2 of these, just because they only use 180 watts. So in diaphragm terms, a diaphragm pumps would be 200 liters per minute. So we're getting over double the liters for the same amount of electricity. So I quickly want to show you guys this masterpiece before we go back inside. This is my sump for the stainless steel pond. It's a freezer. I just fiberglassed a freezer. It does need a good clean out. Look how much soot's at the bottom there. It's only got one baffle. There wouldn't be a great deal of flow up the top here, but that's alright because Marine Pure is good in low flow. And then at the bottom of this, see that gutter guard there? The whole bottom is gutter guard, so that way the ceramic media doesn't get clogged up with all the soot. I don't know if you guys seen how clear the stainless steel trough is, but this thing works wonders. That's just jap mat and sponge underneath there. So I put one... Oh, there's a fish in there. Did you guys see that? I hope that was on video. I seen a fish. So, here's a story. I threw some fish in here a little while ago, thinking they would get all like their food scraps at the top there. They must have got over the baffle somehow. Which I don't know how, because that baffle touches that lid. Unless they got under and through, but I highly doubt that. That's full of sponge. That's really interesting. I really want to pull this apart now and see how many fry are in here. That's a job for another day. Subscribe to my channel if you're interested to see what fish is in the filter. So basically, my point behind showing you the filter is you don't need to spend big money. I got this freezer for free. It's like an old shop freezer. This little Chinese lady had it sitting out the back of her restaurant. Yes, it will corrode in the ground. The metal will eventually disintegrate, but it cost me like less than $100 by the time I fiberglassed it. And it's just been a really handy filter. Alright guys, so if you look up behind me just here, this is my automatic water change system. I'm not going to go through that system in this video, otherwise it's just going to drag on. If you want to learn about the automatic water change system, I've got 2 different systems and they're both documented in my blog. And I explain how the water change system works. This one is on a pump and it's like 2% water change 3 times a day. And then I've got the one in the house which I recently vlogged, which is a constant drip. So on my channel I've got a water change system for everybody. The expensive build and the budget build, which is in the house. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're not subscribed, can you guys please hit subscribe? 31% of people that watch my channel aren't subscribed at the moment, and that would make a huge difference if you could hit that button. I'm really pushing for 500 subscriptions, and then we're going to go for the fish walk with Jason from Perth Cichlids. I've got a bit of controversy over whether I should do it or not, but I'm going to do it because, hey, I'm going to go through with what I said. people are worried about the fish, but you guys know I did that walk a couple of months ago and the fish was fine, so I'm pretty confident. Anyway, hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.